This is going to be a fun one, I tell you. This is Random Access Memories, retro gaming podcast with me, Ian Lee, where I invite a guest on. By the way, if you're watching this, I've got incense going. There's not a doobie or anything. I invite a guest on to talk about a retro game or that means something to them. Retro is a very, very loose term. I am excited tonight with this one because I'm joined by it's a YouTuber I kind of stumbled on a little while ago, and I'm really glad to say that I think we've become friends. We'll find out. Maybe we're deadly enemies. It's Pixel Cherry Ninja, and I've got to say, if you're watching this, you're going, well, why can't we see his face? You're a no camera kind of guy, aren't you, Pixel Cherry?
Hi, Ian. First of all, thank you for welcoming me onto your show.
You are welcomed.
Thank you so much, sir. So I am a no-face guy, and there are many reasons for that. Some people say that I'm too good looking for the retro scene, so I need to give the other channels a chance. Some say the opposite end of the spectrum. They say that I'm so hideous, I'll lose subscribers. But it was just one of those things. It started as a voice channel. I wasn't expecting it to get as far as it did, and I've just kind of remained with that. And I think that's where that's how I'm going to keep the channel.
It's absolutely fine, and I respect that. I worry that I've got too much hair for the retro gaming community, because I got a full head of hair here, and I know that within the community there's a lot of men who would kill to get my head of hair.
Do you know what? That hair is lion hair. Like, I'm getting bald at the top, and the funny thing is, I didn't even know I was going bald for a long time. So maybe about 5-6 years ago, there was like an incident at work. So they said, okay, we're going to review CCTV. So I went into the security room where the guys do all the CCTV stuff. And I said, okay, let's have a look at this incident. And there was a camera from on top. And all of a sudden I was like, I've got a bald patch. Oh. And I said to my colleague, I was like, did you know I was bald? So he started taking a piss with that, going, yeah, man, we knew for ages behind your back. We've been calling you baldy for years. And I mean, I wash my hair regularly, but I guess I just didn't feel that there was a big gaping hole at the top there, and then from there, I guess I just lost more hair.
I made a joke about it then, but I do think I've spoken to men who've gone bald, and it can be quite traumatic for them. Seriously, it can be a big deal for men going bald.
Yes, you know what? I'll roll with it, man.
Okay.
If you can't stop the inevitable, so why get upset about it? If you have no power to change it, roll with it, man. There's other things to worry about in life, not so much a bald patch.
Let's talk about your channel, which is Pixel Cherry Ninja. I stumbled across it, right? Because I'm into retro, and I've got all my old modded consoles. So I've got a Dreamcast and a GameCube and a 360 under here. They're all modded and loaded with games, but I'd never played them. And I was for years been looking at Mister, this FPGA thing. I still don't really know what it is, this Mister thing, but it was like $400-$500. It's a lot of money for something I probably wasn't going to use. Then this guy called Taki Udon comes out and says, I can do it for $150. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I bought one, got one there, but I didn't know. Before I bought it, and once I got it, I was like, I don't know what to do with it. I don't really know what it is. And that's how I stumbled on your channel, because you do these beautiful, like, little 20-minute sort of updates. Is it every week you do the updates?
Every Saturday, yeah. There's a news video every Saturday, and there's no length to it. The shortest it'll be is 15 minutes, and I think the longest one I've done is like 1 hour and 20 minutes or something.
But you do that because you've got stuff to talk about. You ain't filling it, you ain't waffling on and stuff. But your channel was the thing that gave me the confidence to hit the buy it button and kind of gave me an idea of what it was. So thank you for your channel. I think it's brilliant. I've joined in a couple of your live streams. I just think the way you present is so good. Can we go back to the beginning? Why? When did you start a YouTube channel, and what was it?
Okay, so how the YouTube channel began, I worked with at my previous job, there was a guy I worked with, and he was a big Liverpool fan. So he started a Liverpool fan channel. And just as a joke, I said to him, you know what, I'm going to start a channel, and your channel's shit, and I'm going to make a channel better than yours. And honestly, it started as a joke. And all I did was I just played retro games on there, and I had like a couple of hundred subs, and it became more of a hobby. So I was doing some shift work at the time, so I'd come home after a night shift. I'd grab a handheld similar to a Steam Deck, but they're called like GPD devices, and it had a keyboard on it and everything. So I'd lie in bed, I'd do a live stream, then I started doing content, and then I started to get into it. And then where it happened, that was just the fun thing. And then I knew about Mister for a few years, and a friend of mine always told me about it. He was like, "Dude, Mister, you need to get a Mister." And I was like, honestly, I'm really happy with software emulation. I'm really happy with RetroArch, and for the whole part, I was. So I was a big Street Fighter player back in the day. I stopped playing. I started clubbing, partying. When I became a nerd again, I started playing Street Fighter again. Now, there was always a difference when playing Street Fighter games in the arcade. When I played them on software emulation, any collection, they just felt off. I could feel the input latency, the timings were off compared to the arcade. So I went to my friend's house and I played the Mister. I played Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I know the title can be quite a mouthful, but that's fighting games for you. And I played Street Fighter, and it's the only time it felt like I was playing the arcade version of Street Fighter when I wasn't actually in the arcade or playing on arcade hardware around the friend's house on a CRT. That's when I decided I'm buying a Mister. So I spoke to my friend, what do I need to get? Ordered the DE10 Nano straight away from Mouser. It was like £175 VAT delivery, everything included. Unfortunately, it was during COVID. So I had to wait the same amount of time a general woman takes to give birth to a baby. The whole period from when the insert goes in, shoots the egg grows, and then a baby comes out. So 9 months later, I mean, I've got children as well, and I don't know if I was happier when I got the Mister, or let's just say I was on par with the happiness. So the DE10 Nano came, but before that, I had all the other parts. I had the shell, I had the I/O board, I had the power supply and extra lead. So that's how I got myself a Mister. And when I got the Mister, I thought, well, I've got a channel. Let me start covering FPGA gaming now. Let me start covering the Mister. And then once I started covering the Mister, then a little bit down the line came the Analog Pocket. The channel just started growing exponentially. And I was like, okay, I'm onto something here. So I started enjoying it, started mixing in the scene. And that's really it. And it just grew from there. I started covering news. First it was like random news episodes. Then I was like, let me give it some structure. Then I started doing the Saturday news show, and then I would just roll with whatever I did. Now, I still do some retro-related stuff, but 90% of it is FPGA gaming. So the Mister, the Analog Pocket, and other devices in that niche. But if I do find something that I really like, and it's not to do with FPGA gaming, heck with it, I'll cover it anyway. Sometimes it tanks, sometimes it doesn't. But those are the videos, I like doing. So I need to remind myself that, yes, I'm in it for the views. I would like to get more money out of it. Absolutely. I never hide that. But I still need to do the stuff that I love. So the channel is, the FPGA gaming that I love and other retro gaming stuff that I love.
We will come on to the game in a minute. We have kind of first communicated, and I don't want to dwell too much on this guy because he gets too much of my time. But there is people listening.
No compromise.
There is. I hope you got your prawn and potatoes for your tea. There is a scam. There's a scam by this guy called Alejandro Martin. I don't mind saying it's a scam now. The Super Sega System. It's one of those things where a guy has promised this amazing retro machine that can fly to the moon and back, and it's clearly bullshit. And he's taken a load of money from people. And we kind of got in touch over that because I interviewed him. You've been covering it a little bit. How have you found that whole Super Sega System story? It's a wild ride, right?
Okay, so I've enjoyed it. That's to say the very least. Alejandro's a character. But before I go further in, guys, I want to say these are just my opinions. I'm not calling the thing a scam. I am just elaborating. So just getting that legal disclaimer
He's out. Not. I am.
He is. I am not. Okay. I'm going with the flow. Like what I will say is, would I pay €3 on it on a credit card, or those prepaid debit cards you buy, and the minimum you can put on them is £10. It's for people, I guess, that don't have that credit rating. They pay money, they buy a prepaid credit card. Yeah. I wouldn't even pay £3 or €3 on that because I just don't believe in the project. So how I initially came across it, we saw this Super Sega thing come out, and it was just really, really bad. You know, we all use Google Translate. We've got AI tools. We've got a lot of tools at our disposal. So we don't need to see spelling mistakes here. So they kind of released this document. And the FPGA that they showed on there, I ran it past a few developer friends that I'm close with, a few developers, and I was like, look, guys, let's have a look at this. We're speaking. And one of them found the FPGA for me. It was like either $20,000 or $28,000. And they were like, this is not happening. And I was like, all right, I'm calling BS. Then I looked at the other stuff in there. It's got Alejandro driving a Ferrari, right?
It's a Lambo. Get it right.
Sorry,
it's a Lambo.
No. In the initial one, there was actually a Ferrari. Yeah. The initial, the initial kind of flyer or the initial document of the white paper, whatever you want to call it. I know that's all good. The guy has a Ferrari and a Lambo, so there's no wrongs here. So he's in there. Then he's flying. He's piloting a plane, and so I've privated those videos for now. But I'd done a thumbnail like $20,000 or $30,000 FPGA. Now it reminded me a lot of the crypto scams. You know, I dabbled with cryptocurrency when it was there. I made a bit of money, then I lost a heap of money, and now I can't stand that stuff. You know, so I naturally covered it, and then he got in touch with me saying, what about this? What about this? And I'm like, look, just be straight out with it. So I from the beginning, I said, look, I'm kind of calling I'm calling your crap on this. I'm saying it's not legit. But if you want to come on my channel, I'll give you the floor. You can come and speak. Come address all the technical questions people have. Yeah, so put people's mind at rest. And then so I actually prepped everything up again, got an FPGA core developer. I said, look, all right, just to point out here, I'm a dimwit when it comes to technology. I open like a command prompt window. I open a spreadsheet at work and people think I'm hacking. I'm not. I don't know shit. So all of a sudden I've got some friends that said, okay, let's get some technical questions. Let's put it to these guys. And I said, look, if they can answer the questions, then you might think, okay, this might be legit. Now, if they can't answer the questions, and well, you saw the interview for yourself. It was a car crash. It was like, Alejandro, I know core developer, and he was singing. The mic was bad, and I tried to wing it as much as I could, but in the end, it was just like, okay, Alejandro, I wish you the best, because you can't help not liking the guy.
Yeah,
he's
that's how they do it.
Guy.
He's likable. What I loved about that interview, right? His line was terrible, and you went, right, so the first question was like an introductory question, then the second one was a bit technical, and he went, I can't answer that. Went to the third one, which is a bit technical. I can't answer any of these technical questions, and the rest of it is just you scrolling, go, can't ask that one, can't ask that one. Go, well, Alejandro, it's been nice talking.
There you go. So, we gave them the opportunity, because while I had a lot of people criticizing it, I had one person that I really trust their opinion. They've built some really, really good hardware. And they said, even though they showed like a PCB, some of the stuff on it actually made sense. So they were very confused, but they said, I'm not willing. This person said, I'm not willing to stake my reputation on it. So I don't want to say anything that puts them in a good light, just in case they do end up not giving people like money. But that was it really. And since then, it's just been a circus. I feel like Video Game Esoterica has done a really, really good job of covering them. That's a great
channel. Yeah, that's a great channel.
We're good friends. So we became friends because our niches are the same. We got good hobbies. We share footage sometimes when we both can't film something. But it got to a point where I was covering it at the beginning, and he was like, no, I'm not going to cover this crap. And then it changed. I was like, I can't be bothered with this anymore. I can't keep up. And he was on there, but he's so he actually works in film. He makes like commercials for a living and other kind of videos. So his take on it was actually very, very humorous, and I really enjoyed watching those. With some of the stuff he puts
he's
in
great.
There.
He kind of put me in touch with Alejandro, so I owe him. He's the reason I'm sucked into. Alejandro was messaging me yesterday, and it's like, just stop, man. We should probably talk about your game. I'm guessing, is it Street Fighter?
It is Street Fighter. Yeah, you're acting like you're guessing it, but I told you that. You're not an Alejandro, are you?
Yeah, did you? When did you tell me?
Oh, okay. Maybe I didn't. Then forgive me. I might have said, "Can we talk about a franchise?"
You said, "Can we talk about a franchise?" Then you came in and just wanged on about.
Wang. Oh,
can I tell you?
Sorry. Yep.
No, I'm joking. Can I tell you my Street Fighter story, and then I will shut up. I don't.
No, absolutely.
I don't know which one it was, but around about 2005, 6, 7, something like that, they released a new one, and I still had a little bit of that telly magic, right? It's before the jungle, but I hadn't been on telly for a while, but a bit of magic. And Capcom flew me to Amsterdam, paid me thousands of, I'm a drug addict. I was in recovery then. So I had to keep my head down and my nose blocked, mask on. They paid me thousands of pounds, flew over 50 journalists for the weekend to play Street Fighter. And I didn't really know anything about Street Fighter. I certainly didn't know how to play it. And they had me there going, right, okay, this is how you play it, and demonstrating it and stuff like that. So that was my connection with Street Fighter. But how far back does your relationship with it go?
So from the days of the original Street Fighter, that's when I started playing the game. Now, there's a whole heap of history there. So before Street Fighter, I always had a fascination towards fighting games, whether we were playing CPU, but it was more fun playing the human. But initially, we began playing against the computer. Now, Street Fighter, they had like a funfair version where it had different pads where you punch them, and a different strength dictated how strong the move would be. I've never really played that one. I've only ever heard it and seen like pictures of it. The one we had was the normal one, an arcade stick, 6 buttons, free punches, free kicks. So we used to play Street Fighter 1. We used to bunk off school. So I went to a school in North London, and we actually cut a hole. When I say we, not me, I don't want to incriminate myself, but people I knew cut a hole in a fence.
Take responsibility. This is the second time you've wimped out. Take responsibility for your actions.
It wasn't me that did it, but I was there. I watched it happen. So there you go.
Cut a hole in the fence.
They cut a hole in the fence, right? Behind, like, so you had like the football pitch. You had, those fences that are like 20 foot high. So that's almost like a prison, so the kids can't climb out.
Yeah.
But you've got like bushes and stuff in the way, little trees. So someone done it, so it was masked by that. So literally like a prison escape movie. They got these bolt cutters or whatever, and they made a hole in this. We used to climb up the little wall and run out this. We used to bunk off school and play it. Now Street Fighter 1 was terrible. We loved it, but it was horrible. Like the fireballs. So the fireball motion is like a quarter circle. A hurricane kick is a quarter circle backwards and kick. So we were doing these motions, and the moves would just come out randomly, but still we would go and put our money in there because the sprites were big. It just looked big. It looked really, really awesome. So me and a buddy of mine, a guy called Chris, we ended up completing it. But how we completed it was, I think either I was wiggling the stick and he was mashing the buttons when we got near the end, when we got to Sagat. So we ended up completing it. So that was Street Fighter 1. We've kind of moved on to other games. But when Street Fighter 2 came out, it changed everything. You saw it in the arcade. The sprites were big. You had 8 characters you could pick out of from all around the world. You had Dhalsim with his long limbs, Blanka with his electricity, a fat sumo wrestler, Zangief. It was amazing. And I still remember the first time I played it. I played it in an arcade on Hornsey Road, and it used to have pool tables in there. It had like a gentleman's like Greek club, like a social club where they drink whiskey from early in the afternoon and play cards.
There were loads around. There was an FS. It was a Turkish, I think, in Stoke Newington and places like that.
Yes, I'm not far from there.
Yeah. Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I lived up around Muswell Hill, but we had a lot of friends in Stoke Newington. This is when I was an adult. Grew up in Slough, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, we had a lot of friends around Stokey and Hornsey Road and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Hornsey Road is where this was pool cafe. I grew up in Finsbury Park, so I went in there, and I still remember I was with my younger brother, 5 years younger than me, and we looked at it, and I think the first time I played it, now my memory is like a little bit fuzzy, but I either picked Ken or I picked the Dhalsim, but I'm going to go and say that I picked the Dhalsim in Street Fighter 2 because my logic was, if he's got stretchy limbs, I can pick them off from the other side of the screen. So I put my 20p in, and I just got destroyed. I think it was Ken that destroyed me. I just got battered, but I was hooked. And, this is the days before the internet. So you would play. And I wasn't the greatest player back then, but there was a big scene for it. Like all the top players you'd hear, oh, this guy's good in Finsbury Park, but there's another good guy that's in Walthamstow. So then you used to hear friends of friends, and they all used to go and play. So you had Street Fighter 2, which you couldn't have mirror matches. So, if you wanted to play Ken, the closest you could get was you could pick Ryu and play him, but you couldn't have a Guile versus Guile. You could put in a cheat code to do that on like the Super Nintendo version, but in the arcade World Warrior, you couldn't have mirror matches. So then came along Champion Edition. Champion Edition gave you the 4 bosses, as well as the 4 bosses. You could have mirror matches. Then after that came Hyper Fighting, also known as Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which was faster, had different move sets. Like it gave Chun-Li a fireball for the first time. Very, very different, very, very good. Then after that, it went from the CPS-1, the Capcom Play System 1, to the Capcom Play System 2. And at this time, I wasn't playing as much. I didn't play Super Street Fighter 2 so much in the arcade, but it looked good. The extra 4 characters, DJ, Fei Long, Cammy and T-Hawk looked amazing. But then Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo came out, which introduced the super move. So the series just kept evolving. I ended up buying like a 3DO because it had Super Street Fighter 2. Well, it had Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo on it. And it's one of my biggest regrets because I as a kid, I didn't have a lot of money. So
3DOs were expensive, man.
They were expensive, but I was a hustler as a kid. So what we used to do was we used to go around that area and we used to collect shopping trolleys. And at that time, £1 was a decent amount of money. So when we used to collect the trolleys, we used to take them back to our local Tesco's and get £1. Sometimes we'd be gutted when we'd find like a Coke can ring pull in there, and it was like, bloody hell, man. And then what we used to try and do then, and this is where I'm completely admitting a scam, we then used to put it back in, so the ring pull from the can of Coke is in there, and then we used to wander around Tesco, and when someone was approaching the trolley, we used to say, do you want to take our one? Just give us the £1 and take it.
Oh, man. The reason I'm laughing so hard is I didn't do that, but I would on a Saturday morning go and stand outside Waitrose as in the car park, and you'd get like mums, and I'm deliberately saying that, would come out and you go, oh, can I take your trolley to the car? And you take their trolley to the car. And if they were in a good mood, they'd let you take your trolley back. Here's the thing, though. This is how old I am. It was 10 pence in my day.
Oh, so, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was 10 pence. So mum would go off shopping in Slough, and I'd be in the Waitrose car park for an hour collecting 10 pences. That's sad, isn't it? But I never scammed anyone like you did, Alejandro.
No,
I I'm talking to you.
No
Pixel.
Compromise. No, so that was one way of getting stuff. I think like a record trolley collection in one day was like, I think it was 9 that me and my brother got. So I convinced my brother, let's go and buy a PC Engine game. And I had
hang on, £9?
£9 in one day, 9 trolleys in one day.
That's not bad, man. That's good.
That was a really good one. There was actually one woman that she used to leave it in a front garden, and me and another friend of mine, Paul, we always used to go and grab it from the front garden, and she used to tell us, don't take my trolley. So what we would have to do is we'd have to go in the front garden, and we used to have to lift the trolley up so it made no sound, and then run out with it and doing it. And at one point she threatened us. She said, I've got a boyfriend who's going to beat you up. But at that point we stopped. She put it halfway in her house. She obviously wanted the £1 back. So
yeah.
But I think it got to one point where because we were kids, we must have been like 11, 12. We used to hang around, the streets. They were a lot safer then.
Yeah.
So I remember we even used to follow her from when she used to shop at Tesco's. We used to follow her home in order to get the trolley. And obviously bad stuff back then.
Bad stuff back then.
We were kids back then. So that was funny. The other thing that we did to hustle the money was we used to stand outside Finsbury Park tube station, and we used to ask people, have you finished with your travel cards? So there was you could sell the travel card. So then what we used to do is we used to walk up when people were getting up to the ticket machine. Do you remember the old ones where you had loads of different buttons for the stops?
Yeah.
So we used to go outside and say, look, would you like to buy a travel card half price? And a lot of people used to buy them. So that's what we used to do to hustle money. But what I did was when I got a console, it was never about, so there's a lot of people that had their consoles, their parents bought them another console, they've got the whole collection. It was, if I had whatever I had to upgrade to the next one. And so I used to sell stuff on the Loot. I don't know if you remember that. the loot. It was a paper where people.
Yeah, the paper. Yeah, you'd sell crap in there. Yeah.
You could sell anything on there. I still remember the number 01713281771. That was the number because I used to dial it a lot, and so we used to sell stuff on there, get the money. So I eventually, so how I actually got my Neo Geo that I traded in was, remember CEX.
Yep.
Before CEX, it was Computer Exchange. This is a time when Charlie Brooker used to work in there.
Yeah.
Very nice guy, by the way. Very good artist as well. He used to do their art campaign. So we used to trade stuff in at CEX. But what we also used to do is when we hung around there, if someone came in there to sell something and they didn't have the ID, when they used to walk out, me and my friends used to follow them out. So one day I was in there, and a guy came in to sell a Neo Geo. He had Fatal Fury with it, and I think a game called Ninja something. It was a scrolling beat 'em up. And he didn't have the ID. So I followed him out and I said, look, I'll take it off you. Brought him to my house when I was like, I don't know, 13, 14.
What is this? This is wild, man.
Yeah, this is how it was. So imagine I'm 13, 14. We brought a grown man. This guy was in his 20s, brought him to the house. And I was like, Mum, I've got this much money. Please, can I have like 30 or 40 pounds? I want to buy this. And, my mum, bless her, that's why I'm very close with her even now. Like, even though, she was a single parent bringing us up, when she saw at certain times I really wanted something, she'd dig out that cash out of her savings. So she gave me the extra money and I got myself a Neo Geo, which I played and eventually traded for a 3DO because 3DO had Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo on there.
There's just so much to take in, so much right and so much wrong in that story.
Yeah. This is like the 90s, right? It was a different time. The internet wasn't there. You couldn't last minute cancel. You couldn't buy stuff on there. You could go out Saturday, go read comics, go to comic book shops, go to video games. You didn't go into a shop and didn't go to, maybe you should order it online. And you're like, no, I'm here for a shop. I want to buy stuff. I mean, Central London was booming then, man. Like Oxford Circus was scary to walk on. It was so jammed. Now, when you go there, not so much.
Tottenham Court Road, that was, what a place Tottenham Court Road was back then. I remember going into shops, I guess, 98, 99, trying to buy a region-free VHS recorder so I could buy videos from the States, and there was just so much going on. And you're right, it's all... Do we sound like two old men saying it was better back in the day? I just realised...
Absolutely. And I think of this as the guys that are older than us, so the guys that are in their 60s and 70s now, when they're like, oh, and my day was brilliant, I think everyone just likes their day. So my kids are going to go, man, the 2020s were awesome. We had like Rocket League and Minecraft, and you guys are playing, I don't know what you guys are playing. You're putting in some. I can't even imagine what's going to happen.
You're playing Virtual Mind Wars, which you just close your eyes and tap your head, and then suddenly you're in space.
Exactly. There you go. I like that imagination. That was good on the spot there.
So, what's your favorite? I'm aware we're nearly done. This is the beauty of this show is it's 35 minutes because there are so many bloated podcasts that go on for 3, 4, 5 hours, and I want this to be pocket sized. But what is your favorite Street Fighter game and why?
So over the years, lots and lots of ones. After the Street Fighter series, you had the EX series. You've got the Alpha series, not in the correct order. You had Street Fighter movie that tried to copy Mortal Kombat. You had the offshoot games, the Marvel ones, the Versus ones, which I never really played apart from like Capcom versus SNK 2. But the one that I like the most is Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Now, the reason I got into that, so when I stopped gaming, I started partying, I started DJing, and it was a roller coaster, man. It was like 6-7 years where it just went like one long crazy night, right? So when I started calming down on that, I had a shop. I set up a video game shop in Walthamstow. Had that for 2.5 years, and I kind of become a nerd again. So we started playing Street Fighter again. The only game that was around was Capcom versus SNK 2. So we started playing that, and then I wanted to play in the arcades again. And in the arcade, the only game that had active competition was Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. When I first played the game, I thought the game was balls. It felt nothing like the other Street Fighters. It was a completely different game. I had a few friends of mine. They were like, look, play this game. It's really good. So I played it. I still didn't like it. And then I thought, you know what? It does look good. And I started playing it. And then a little while later, I grew to love it. And even to this day, I'd go as far as saying it's the best 2D fighting game. And it's definitely the best Street Fighter game ever made.
We are coming to them, but there's something that we have a connection that we only recently found out about years and years. Because I was messaging you and we were chatting and you went, you that Ian Lee that used to do the 11 o'clock show? And I went, yeah. And then you told me something amazing. You've been on the 11 o'clock show.
I have. And just, for anyone out there watching that does know the 11 o'clock show, first of all, you're old like me and Ian.
You're old, man.
Second of all, I watched it after Ian left. And quite frankly, it was crap.
Yeah, there we go.
It was crap.
As good. It was
not as good. So I used to do a lot of different club work, a lot of different DJing work. A friend of mine's dad owns a whole bunch of clubs, and I used to work in different ones at different times. But a lot of the times I was out on the street because, with my friend Mary Jane. And so we were there, we were chilling, and I still remember, I think I had a bright yellow shirt on, and I had these two guys. I don't know what they were called. I think the Bim Bom Brothers, but I think that's a fun fair ride somewhere. Something Brothers.
It wasn't the Style Wankers, was it?
Maybe there was two of them, and what they do is they stand around you, one left, one right.
Right, yeah.
And they speak to you very, very fast, and they try and confuse you. So it was something about Christmas. Do you think the Christmas tree is a great sign of fertility? Do you think it should be replaced by a big tub of KY jelly? And I was like, well, if it's broken, why not fix it? A few other questions. And then they said to me, what would you do if a big guy dressed in red tried to come down your chimney? And I was like, I think it was something being insinuated there, but I took it as the literal meaning. And I was like, if a guy dressed in red tried to come down my chimney, I will shoot the MFNC. So and that was that.
Words, you did it.
Well, yeah. So what happened was I used to go. There was I found out I was on there. It was on during the week, and I missed it. And then I meant to watch the Sunday special, which was a roundup of the 3 episodes. I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday it was on.
Yeah.
And it was a roundup of the 3, and I missed it on that as well. So I completely missed it. But that was that. But I also have to say, not just me, but everyone at the time really fancied Daisy Donovan, man. Okay. I mean, we used to think she was hot. Now, no offense to Daisy Donovan, but do you know what? I after speaking to you, I thought, let me go and watch some 11 o'clock shows, and they're still, by the way, they've aged really well.
You've come to the realization that I was the hot one. I was the hot one in that relationship. Man, listen, we're out of time. It's so lovely to finally meet you. Let's get people going. Your channel's doing very well, isn't it? You get good numbers.
I get. Oh yeah, it's for the niche that it is. I think in a small niche, it's quite a big channel. But on the grand scheme of things, it's not a very big channel. It's just small pond, maybe big fish in small pond, small fish in big sea.
But there's the sea again. You're having fun doing it, right? That's always the key thing, I think, is the fun. And then hopefully the audience comes along.
So the live streams are really, really fun because you turn on, you engage, you press stop, and it's done. The videos for the whole part are fun to do. Yeah. The Saturday news video has become a bit of a job because I still enjoy doing part of it, but it's just something that no matter how much you enjoy something, if you do the same thing again and again and again, it does become a job. And that feels like a little bit of a job, but that is like the cornerstone, the staple of the channel.
Would you consider taking a break from it?
Nah, never, man.
Even if you're not enjoying it.
No. Don't get me wrong. So it is a chore in the fact that I've got to, like, my Saturday morning, even my family, my wife, everyone knows that's what I'm doing in the morning. But the thing is, the whole process of it, doing it feels like a job, but then I do enjoy the end result and the engagement and everything after. So it's not something I'm gonna give up. It's something that it's difficult. It's like I feel like it's a job, but if I don't do it, I won't enjoy not doing it. Yeah, too many twists there.
I need a pen and paper to that. Hey, listen, man, stay there.
Wicked.
I'm gonna listen. I want to thank you so much for coming on. Honestly, I love your channel so much. I feel so lucky to have found it. Pixel Cherry Ninja. You people type that in, they will come and find you. Right?
Perfect. Absolutely, man.
That's all they
Absolutely.
need to do. Thank you so much for your time. Stay there. I'm gonna click stop, and
Perfect.
then I'm gonna. I was gonna say I'm gonna gush all over you, but that doesn't sound. That's not what I mean. Stay there.